Dames en here, die akademiese prosessie sal binnekort inbeweeg. U word versoek om asseblief op te staan.
Bomma le bontate, molokoloko wa dirutegi o tla tsena mo nakong e kopana. Le kgopelwa go ema. Ladies and gentlemen, the academic procession will enter shortly. You're kindly requested to stand.
By virtue of the authority entrusted to me, I hereby constitute this assembly as a legal congregation of the University of Pretoria. During this assembly, degrees and diplomas will be conferred and awarded with all the associated rights and privileges to the candidates appearing in the program. Please have a seat. I'd like to welcome our honorary doctorate recipient, Professor F.J.M. Verstraete, our Dean of the Faculty of Veterinary Science, Professor Naidu, our Deputy Dean of Veterinary Science, Professor Oosthuizen, our Deputy Dean for Veterinary Science, Professor Lisk, our Deputy Dean in the Theology and Religion, Professor Heeman, and our Deputy Dean in the Faculty of Theology and Religion, Professor Bears, and our Deputy Director for Student Systems, Mrs. Swanepoel. I would also like to welcome all chairpersons of schools, heads of departments, directors, emeriti and honorary professors, and other lecturers and their spouses. I'd also like to welcome the Student Representative Council, represented by Pagamile Tendani, who will present the SRC academic honorary colors. And our special guests, graduates, who will now pass the stage shortly. We congratulate them, and of course, everyone else in attendance, parents, spouses, and dignitaries that we may not be aware of, students, everyone, please feel welcome to this special graduation at this great University of Pretoria. I'd like to make a few remarks about both faculties, because it is fitting for us to share, a summary of what they do in order for us to have a culmination of this activity in these graduates that we see before us. And it is indeed a privilege for me to officiate at this spring graduation ceremony. And the faculties, we have two faculties, the Faculty of Theology and Religion and the Faculty of Veterinary Science. And we will have 48 graduates on record who will be earning their degrees and diplomas. And among these, we have 14 doctorates and 1 honorary doctorate. We have 4 doctorates in the Faculty of Veterinary Science and 10 doctorates in the Faculty of Theology and Religion. And a doctoral degree, ladies and gentlemen, is the highest academic qualification that can be awarded at a university. They demonstrate advanced knowledge and research skills. And of course, you have to go through a lot of rigor to be able to earn a doctoral degree from many experts, internal and external experts abroad. And our honored doctorate today is bestowed as a symbolic recognition of an individual's exceptional and often lifelong contributions to society or their field. It is a mark of excellence. So, you will remark that this morning we are in the presence of academic excellence and academic greatness. And for this reason, I will leave the lengthy speeches, but only highlight some of what I believe we should share with yourselves. I'd also be remiss if I do not share with you the incredible value of the two faculties, and they add quite an immense value to this university, and of course, everywhere else in the world. And between the two faculties, we have 52 NRF-rated researchers. These are people who are recognized as experts by the National Research Foundation. In the Faculty of Theology and Religion, they facilitate lifelong affirming values by seeking to teach theologies that are constructive, that are critical, that are relevant, contextual, and of course engaging in nurturing all these transformative leaders that serve in academia and faith communities and society as a whole. It promotes justice, peace, integrity, ultimately reconciling diversity in order to let human life in Africa and everywhere else flourish. I'm saying critical, rigorous, and intellectually enriching encounters with foundational religious texts, and these form the basis of deep examination and original meaning of what would have an enduring impact for the church and society. And it has a multifaceted character of the science of theology, and this builds perspectives of its different subject disciplines in their interconnectedness and relation to theology and religion as a whole. The Faculty of Veterinary Science is indispensable to the economy of our country. It betters life for average South Africans through improved nutrition and growth in South African agroeconomy. With its global ranking and state-of-the-art facilities, students get a worldwide and world-class knowledge and education while gaining experience in working with a variety of different animals. You will often read exciting stories of groundbreaking healthcare interventions in the media. I'll just cite a few examples. The world's first elephant tusk extraction, the leg alignment surgery in a cheetah, the big transplants on vultures or macaws. Vultures don't play with people, so I think they know what to do. So, but I'm nowhere near that thing. And the improvement of milk production in dairy cows and through soothing classical music. The reproduction of the guide dogs, and I think we have a collaboration with the Guide Dog Association for the blind through artificial insemination, or a tracheal stent surgery in a Yorkshire Terrier. Ladies and gentlemen, less exciting, but no means less critical, is the research into the causes of and treatment of prevention of disease such as bird flu, rabies, prevention of campaigns, or training and skills in the development of projects for small-scale livestock farmers to contribute towards food security, economic growth, and biodiversity. These two faculties may be small in size, but you should never underestimate the huge impact as catalysts for the physical and spiritual conservation of the human race. And let me not keep it longer. I will now request the Dean of the Veterinary Science Faculty, Professor Vini Naidu, to present to me the candidates appearing for the honorary doctorate.
Mr. Vice Principal, I have the honor of introducing to you Frank James Morris Verstraete for the conferment of the degree Doctor of Veterinary Science, honoris causa. Professor Verstraete graduated as a veterinarian from the University of Ghent in Belgium in 1980. He subsequently joined the University of Pretoria in 1981 to pursue his graduate studies and remained an associate professor in surgery until 1994. At the university, he developed his interest and expertise in veterinary dentistry and oral pathology, supported by colleagues at the Faculty of Dentistry. During this time, he also developed a keen interest in the natural history of mammals, which later led to numerous publications on dental pathology of wild mammals. He is a diplomat of the American Veterinary Dental College and the European College of Veterinary Surgery, as well as a chartered diplomat of the European Veterinary Dental College. He is also a founding certificate holder in zoo and wildlife dentistry and a founding fellow in oral and maxillofacial surgery with the AVDC. Professor Verstraete was also affiliated with the University of California, Davis from 1994 to 2022, where he served as a professor in dentistry and oral surgery. His primary research interests were comparative oral pathology, diagnostic imaging, and surgery. He played a key role in mentoring many students, residents, and veterinarians in these areas, as well as in research methodology. He is the author of 2 books, including Oral and Maxillofacial Surgery in Dogs and Cats, and has published over 140 scientific publications. Mr. Vice Principal, I request you to confer the honorary doctorate on the candidate.
I hereby confer the degree Doctor of Veterinary Science with all its associated rights and privileges on the candidate. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Let's take a picture. Medal, very nice. Come here, Vinny. This is yours. You can carry this. Look at the camera. Congratulations. I will now request Professor Verstraete to address this assembly.
Thank you for the kind introduction, Vice Principal Mosiah. Good morning, Vice Principal, Dean Naidu, Deputy Deans, Department Heads, Professor Steenkamp, colleagues, graduates, family, and friends. You've already heard my name and the fact that I graduated from the University of Ghent in Belgium in 1980, and that I was here at University of Pretoria from 91 till 94, and then subsequently I spent my professional time at University of California in Davis. I thank you deeply for this extraordinary honor. An honorary doctorate is a rare and treasured event. I am truly humbled to join the distinguished list of previous recipients. I would like to dedicate this speech to 3 groups of people here today: the graduates, the parents, and the teachers. First of you, the graduates, my heartfelt congratulations. I apologize that I'm not familiar with the world of theology, but I hope that my words for those with a veterinary degree will also ring through to you. Goals, realistic expectations, opportunities, service and caring are what a developing career is about. The BVSC degree is a passport to endless possibilities in your professional future. It opens many doors. You can choose private practice, academia, research, or industry. You can focus on small animals, horses, farm animals, birds, reptiles, wildlife, or several of those all at once. Your degree can lead you down 100 different roads, It's up to you which path to follow. As an example, I'd like to tell you about my 3 best friends in veterinary school, Pierre, Bernard, and Hilde. Bernard followed in his father's footsteps as a veterinarian who specialized in the artificial insemination of cows and enjoyed his career for 40 years. Pierre, who was never the most studious in veterinary school, became more serious about studying following graduation, and he became the #1 insurance expert on veterinary matters in Belgium. Hilde became an international expert on poultry diseases, traveling, consulting, and teaching across the African continent. So unexpected and wildly divergent careers, but all 3 finding professional fulfillment while serving their communities. Be focused and determined, set clear goals and pursue them to the best of your abilities, but be flexible to accept new opportunities as they come along. This commencement speech is about you, not me, but my career is a good example of being focused yet flexible. I was a good student at the University of Ghent in Belgium and wanted to pursue a career in academia. At the time, equine anesthesia was my main interest. In those days, it was tradition for final year students to visit a veterinary school in a foreign country. So I, along with my classmates and some professors, came to South Africa in 1979. During our visit, the deans of the veterinary school at Ghent and Pretoria wanted enhanced collaboration, and they decided that the student from Ghent should pursue graduate studies at Pretoria. So I was the student they selected for this, and I had my job interview in Skukuza. I arrived in South Africa on January 1st, 1981, and soon after I realized that the surgery department could not provide a superior education in equine anesthesia. However, they excelled at small animal surgery and diagnostic imaging, the latter headed by Professor Niels Roos, present here today, so I redirected my focus accordingly. This is a point that I would like to emphasize. Be focused from an early stage in your career, but be flexible to redirect your focus as new opportunities arise. At Onderstpoort, I developed a keen interest in orthopedics. However, the chair of the department, Professor Doe Steen, one day called me in and pointed out that because there were already 2 orthopedic surgeons, I should redirect my interest. When I asked him what he would suggest, he said, I have visited the University of Vienna in Austria, and they have a great program in veterinary dentistry. I would like to send you there to spend some time. I just rolled my eyes, and I'm wondering, veterinary dentistry, why me? But I went along with the plan. Keeping an open mind, that visit turned out to be eye-opening and life-changing. Upon my return, I readily embraced dentistry and oral surgery. The university lacked a dental treatment room and had to convert a staff restroom for that purpose, with all the equipment from the dental school. Those were my humble beginnings in the field of veterinary dentistry. In those early days, I reached out to the professors at the School of Dentistry here at the University of Pretoria, and most were ever so keen and enthusiastic to cooperate. Specifically, I would like to acknowledge the late Professor Ad Lechtaal, who introduced me to comparative oral pathology, the late Professor Piet van Vuren, who taught me how to do root canal treatment and crown preparation, and Professor Kurt Butto, from whom I learned how to treat a cleft palate. For these mentors, I will be eternally grateful. While in South Africa, I developed a keen interest in zoology. How can one not develop an interest in zoology in this country? And another mentor who greatly influenced my life was the late Professor Rudy van Aarde. He and his team, including Professor Steenkamp, made available to me his collection of feral cat skulls, collected from Marion Island. Not only was this a treasure trove of scientific information, but it also opened to me a whole world of discovery of dental diseases in wild carnivores, an area of research I have continued to this day. When I left South Africa to join the University of California, Davis, which is a major research university, I was able to develop a comprehensive teaching program and a solid research program, all based upon my foundation received here at the University of Pretoria. For example, while at UC Davis, my team and I documented the dental pathology of all major mammals in the western United States, including 5 fox species, the 3 bear species, including the polar bear, the bobcat, the mountain lion, the gray wolf, and all the marine mammals, including the walrus. I use these mammal dental projects for teaching the basics of research methodology and scientific writing to veterinary and dental students, which was one of my most gratifying components of my career. Speaking of gratifying, for the parents and supporting family, today will be one of the most gratifying days of your lives. It is a day of immense pride and joy for you. Your support and inspiration have brought these graduates to this moment. Please know how profoundly grateful they are. Lastly, I salute the teachers from elementary school through university, including masters and PhD mentors. You have given the graduates your very best. They are here today because of your dedication to help them learn and grow. Take pride in their commencement today, knowing that you were a large part of their success. In conclusion, to the new graduates, I wish you all the best for a rewarding career and a happy life. To the teachers, keep up the good and important work. And to the parents and family, thank you for a job well done, and enjoy this moment to the fullest. I thank you.
I'd like to thank Professor Verstraete for this inspiring address. And as he indicates, the University of Pretoria has also contributed in shaping not only his life, but his expertise. And we thank him for inspiring our graduates and also keeping the name of the University of Pretoria high. Thank you very much, Professor. I will now request the Dean to introduce the doctoral candidates.
Mr. Vice Principal, I now invite the supervisors to introduce the doctoral candidates for the Faculty of Veterinary Science.
Mr. Vice Principal, I introduce to you Frank Banda, who has complied with the requirements for the degree Doctor of Philosophy, with a thesis titled Characterization and Control of Foot and Mouth Disease Outbreaks in Zambia between 2015 and 2020, prepared under my supervision and with Piani Labia as co-supervisor. In his thesis, the candidate analyzed foot and mouth disease outbreaks in Zambia from 2015 to 2020, identifying factors contributing to repeated outbreaks and spread. The candidate also reviewed SAT serotype diagnostic techniques and estimated immunity in vaccinated populations. This work highlights the spread of FMD serotype O, topotype EA2, serotypes A, SAT2 and SAT3 viruses, and recommends SAT1 and SAT3 lateral flow device test strips combined with SAT2 lateral flow devices for FMD agent identification. The prior check NSP kit was found suitable for the detection of SAT non-structural protein antibodies. Further, herds that received double-dose vaccinations had higher mean titers than single-dosed herds at 56 days post-vaccination. The virus neutralization test and solid phase competitive ELISA showed a significant positive correlation, supporting the latter for immunogenicity studies in resource-limited countries. These findings highlight the complex epidemiology of FMD in Zambia, calling for close monitoring of serotype O topotype EA2 spread and a regional approach to FMD control in Southern Africa. Mr. Vice Principal, I request that you confer the degree on the candidate.
I hereby confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy with all its associated rights and privileges on the candidate. Congratulations. Thank you.
Mr. Vice Principal, I introduce to you Claudia Lucia Cardoso Camaiti, who has complied with the requirements for the degree Doctor of Philosophy with a thesis titled Evidence-Based Guidelines for Triage and Prognostication for Domestic Ruminants Burnt in Wildfires, prepared under my supervision and with Kate May as co-supervisor. In this thesis, the candidate investigated the potential source of conflicting advice given when evaluating livestock burned in wildfires. The combined findings obtained through scientific evidence analysis, public consultation, and transdisciplinary collaboration pinpoint that practitioners' experience in the field significantly affects their ability to prioritize factors used to establish a clinical prognosis for a burn, highlighting the need for standardized, universal guidelines. Furthermore, by incorporating evidence-based practices into triage guidelines for burned ruminants and integrating them into software for categorizing animals according to prognosis, veterinary decision-making can be streamlined while safeguarding the human-animal welfare interface in the aftermath of a disaster. Mr. Vice Principal, I request you to confer the degree on the candidates.
I hereby confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy with all its associated rights and privileges on the candidate. Congratulations.
Mr. Vice Principal, I introduce to you Lawrence de Villiers, who has complied with the requirements for the degree Doctor of Philosophy with a thesis entitled Prevalence, Diagnostic Evaluation and Disease Associations of Bloodborne Pathogens and Ticks from Domestic Dogs and Cats across Namibia, prepared under my supervision, and then as co-supervisors, Professor Barney Penzon, Professor Johan Skuman, and Dr. Umberto Molini from the University of Namibia. In his thesis, the candidate investigated the prevalence and clinical significance of bloodborne pathogens infections in domestic, mostly free-roaming dogs and cats across Namibia. Using samples from 15 towns across 8 regions, the study applied microscopy, serology, quantitative real-time polymerase chain reaction, or qPCR, and PacBio long-read microbiome sequencing to assess relevant pathogens in these pets, including Ehrlichia anaplasma, Babesia, hepatozone, Borrelia, feline leukemia virus, and feline immunodeficiency virus. significant associations were found between tick species presence, pathogen infection, and disease manifestation, with a high regional variability in infected areas. The research highlighted the limited sensitivity of traditional diagnostics and demonstrated the improved agreement between molecular methods, particularly qPCR and back biosequencing. This was the first study in Namibia to explore an amplicon sequence variant approach for blood microbiome analysis in companion animals, revealing co-infections and regional microbial variation. The findings underscore the need for contextual, multimodal diagnostic strategies to guide responsible treatment and disease management in veterinary care. Mr. Vice Principal, I request you to confer the degree on the candidate.
I confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy with all its associated rights and privileges on the candidate. Congratulations.
Thanks, Prof. Okay.
Mr. Vice Principal, I introduce to you Martin Jürgen Schmidt, who has complied with the requirements of the degree Doctor of Philosophy with a thesis titled Imaging Biomarkers for Subclinical Hypovitaminosis A in Cheetahs and Tissue Distribution of the Retinal Binding Receptor STRA6 in cheetahs, tigers, and lions, prepared under my supervision with Professor Robert Kerberger as co-supervisor. In this thesis, the candidate evaluated vitamin A in cheetahs, tissue distribution of the retinal binding receptor STRA6 in cheetahs, tigers, and lions, and age-dependent skull changes in known-age cheetahs, which allowed age estimation in free-living cheetahs. The thickness of the skull bones was compared to the age of the animals. Significant thickening of the parietal bones was found in immature cheetahs with vitamin A deficiency compared to age-matched controls. This finding may allow a presumptive diagnosis of hypovitaminosis A. Another aim of this study was to enhance the understanding of vitamin A transport in serum, its release from the liver, and its uptake in peripheral cells in cheetahs, tigers, and lions. The presence and distribution of specific membrane transporter STRA6 in the tissue of large felids was investigated. The holoretinal binding protein RBP receptor STRA6 was found in various internal organs and tissues of the large felids, which implies a specific role for retinal transport via the holo-RBP in these species. Mr. Vice Principal, I request you to confer the degree on the candidate.
I hereby confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy with all its associated rights and privileges on the candidate. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Mr. Vice Principal, the following candidates have complied with the requirements of the degree Master of Science in Veterinary Science. Ashanti Kunene. Anthea Michaelatos with distinction. Kabongo Samuntu. Master of Veterinary Medicine in Small Animal Surgery, Louis Lobser. Mr. Vice Principal, the following candidates have complied with all the requirements for the degree Bachelor of Veterinary Science. Simone Deyanti. Tamareka Govender. Moloko Mabacha. Nehemia Mokalipe. Kishen Mudale. Helena Myberg. Savesh Naidu. John Natu. Nokonwaba Smondile.
Mr. Vice Principal, the supervisors will now introduce the doctoral candidates from the Faculty of Theology and Religion.
Mr. Vice Principal, I introduce to you Emmanuel Akatukunda, who has complied with the requirements for the degree Doctor of Philosophy with a thesis titled A Contextual Theological Approach to Theological Formation for Transformative Urban Ministry, prepared under my supervision. In this thesis, the candidate explored how theological education can better equip Christian leaders to address the challenges of rapidly urbanizing cities like Kampala. The study identified a disconnect between traditional theological training and the lived realities of urban communities, especially the marginalized. Through a contextual, action-oriented framework grounded in social analysis, the study proposes a theological formation model deeply rooted in local experience and responsive to systemic urban injustices. The study contributes to practical theology by advocating for an integrated urban theological education model, equipping leaders to respond to the socio-spiritual needs of rapidly urbanizing contexts. Mr. Vice Principal, I request you to confer the degree on the candidate.
I hereby confer the degree of philosophy with all its associated rights and privileges on the candidate.
Mr. Vice Principal, I introduce to you Blessmore Chinyara, who has complied with the requirements for the degree Doctor of Philosophy with a thesis titled Kairos Theology in Light of the Pandemic, an analysis of the Zimbabwean Church's response to COVID-19, prepared under my supervision. In this thesis, the candidate examined the response of contemporary Zimbabwean ecclesiology to the COVID-19 pandemic, utilizing the framework of the 1985 Kairos document. The study is relevant as churches are reinstating their regular functions and must be prepared for similar situations in the future. The framework of the study is based on the perspective of liberation theology and incorporates tenets and insights from both liberation paradigms and reconstruction paradigms. Understanding this broad paradigm of liberation and reconstruction is important within the context of the proposal to redirect African theological initiatives from liberation and reconstruction theology to a new reality. The liberation motive emphasizes the role of the church as a voice for the voiceless in the public sphere. Mr. Vice Principal, I request you to confer the degree on the candidate.
I hereby confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy with all its associated rights and privileges on the candidate. Congratulations.
Mr. Vice Principal, I introduce to you Thomas Dreyer, who has complied with the requirements for the degree Doctor of Philosophy with a thesis titled Trauma, Geloofskrisis en Godsbeeld, die bruikbaarheid van die TIR en EMDR model vir die pastoraat, prepared under my supervision. In the thesis, the candidate explored the potential value of these techniques for pastoral counseling with people whose crisis of faith is rooted in childhood trauma. The study explained the difference between God image and God concept as they pertain to resolving a crisis of faith, and found that the effective processing of the trauma underlying the unhealthy God image and crisis of faith facilitates the person to resolve the crisis and find growth in and a deepening of their faith. Mr. Vice Principal, I request you to confer the degree on the candidate.
Hereby confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy with all its associated rights and privileges on the candidate. Congratulations.
Mr. Vice Principal, I introduce to you Peter Urs Graf, who has complied with the requirements for the degree Doctor of Philosophy with a thesis titled Meister Eckhart in Zen, ein interreligiöser Brückenbauer zwischen christlicher und östlicher Mystik, prepared under my supervision with Dr. Philip Wenk as co-supervisor. In this thesis, the candidate explored the experience of the divine that precedes language. More and more Christians are turning to Zen Buddhism in their search for transcendence. According to the latest research findings, multi-religious meditation offerings from a Christian context are growing. The theological question of coherence arises when Christians practice two forms of meditation that are so different. The study investigated the theological coherence of dual religious meditation and highlighted Meister Eckhart's mystical teachings as a possible bridge between Zen and Christian traditions. Using the method of comparative theology, the study examined the reception of core concepts of Eckhart's Birth of God by scholars in Zen and Christian mysticism. The comparison revealed parallels and distinctions and found that Meister Eckhart's thoughts offer rich potential for renewing Christian spirituality. Mr. Vice Principal, I request you to confer the degree on the candidate.
Hereby confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy with all its associated rights and privileges on the candidate. Congratulations.
Mr. Vice Principal, I introduce to you Rupert Ambira, who has complied with the requirements for the degree Doctor of Philosophy with a thesis titled The Missional Calling of the Church in Post-Genocidal Societies in Diaspora, the Case of the Descendants of the Herero Survivors in Botswana, prepared under my supervision. In this thesis, the candidate critically examined the Church's theological and practical role in the aftermath of genocide, focusing on the descendants of the Herero genocide, 1904 to 1908, and their lived realities in the diaspora. The thesis engages complex issues of identity, memory, historical justice, and reconciliation. Drawing from archival sources and contemporary narratives, the work introduces original conceptual frameworks, including historical diasporic disposition syndrome, and proposes praxeological perspectives that reposition the Church as a transformative agent in a post-genocide setting. The study contribution lies in its theological depth and socio-political relevance, calling for anti-colonial, non-racial, and restorative missional praxis. This research challenges the Church and society to reckon with the past while envisioning a just and reconciled future. Mr. Vice President, I request you to confer the degree on the candidate.
I hereby confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy with all its associated rights and privileges on the candidate. Congratulations.
Mr. Vice Principal, I introduce to you Daniel Malesele Komosotu, who has complied to the requirements for the degree Doctor of Philosophy with a thesis titled The Establishment of the Anglican Church in the Northern Eastern Episcopal Region of Mpumalanga Province, with particular reference to the period 1960 to 2021, prepared under the supervision of Professor Jerry Pillay. In this thesis, the candidate examines the founding of the Anglican Church of Mpumalanga, the ACM, with a focus on the years 1960 to 2021. The researcher contends that historians have documented the history of the CPSA since 1870. He argues that there is insufficient research on the ACM's history during the period under investigation. This research highlights the efforts made in the early 21st century to collect data relevant to the ACM's history using oral history and qualitative research methodologies. On 6 June 2004, the ACM was finally separated from the Diocese of Pretoria and constituted to form a separate, self-sufficient diocese and a constituent member of the CPSA. Mr. Vice Principal, I request you to confer the degree on the candidate.
I hereby confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy with all its associated rights and privileges on the candidate. Congratulations.
Mr. Vice Principal, I introduce to you Johan Lufeis, who has complied with the requirements for the degree Doctor of Philosophy with a thesis titled An Afrocentric Female Leadership Importation from the Book of Ruth within a Patriarchal Context, prepared under the supervision of Professor Human and myself as co-supervisor. In this thesis, An Afrocentric Female Leadership Importation from the Book of Ruth within a Patriarchal Context, the candidate examined female leadership through an Afrocentric lens, focusing on biblical narrative of Ruth within a patriarchal society. Although Ruth is not formally recognized as a leader, her actions demonstrate significant leadership traits such as resilience, strategic adaptability, and ethical conduct. Utilizing African biblical hermeneutics, particularly Mburu's theoretical framework, alongside Kuzi's and Posner's 5 practices of exemplary leadership, the study highlighted parallels between Ruth's ancient context and contemporary African realities, especially concerning women's roles, widowhood, and economic vulnerability. By challenging traditional title-based leadership models, the research argues for leadership grounded in character and influence, offering practical insights for modern contexts where women's leadership remains under-recognized. Ultimately, it advocates for increased empowerment and inclusive ethical leadership deeply rooted in faith and cultural relevance. Mr. Vice Principal, I request you to confer the degree on the candidate.
I hereby confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy with all its associated rights and privileges on the candidate. Congratulations.
Mr. Vice Principal, I introduce to you Jibu Ninan, who has complied with the requirements for the degree Doctor of Philosophy with a thesis titled Miraculous Conversion Among Indian Pentecostals, prepared under my supervision as well as under Dr. Philip as co-supervisor. In this thesis, the candidate explored Indian Pentecostal theological frameworks on miraculous conversion, focusing specifically on the Holy Spirit's supernatural role in conversion, encompassing healing, deliverance, and extraordinary events. The study recognizes and respects the diverse religious practices in India, focusing on the belief systems of Indian religions, among which Hinduism is the most widely followed. The study bridges the gap between the theoretical and the empirical by exploring how individual Pentecostals experience conversion as miraculous. The study gives voice to their personal narratives and interpretations, fostering a richer understanding of Pentecostal beliefs grounded in lived experiences. This sheds light on a unique perspective within Pentecostal theology, exploring how the Holy Spirit's miraculous work aligns with broader Pentecostal beliefs in the Indian context. Miracles in Indian religious traditions serve as signifiers of the transcendent, making supernatural stories central to their construction of reality. Mr. Vice Principal, I request you to confer the degree on the candidate.
I hereby confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy with all its associated rights and privileges on the candidate.
Thank you.
Mr. Vice Principal, the following candidates have complied with all the requirements for the degree Master of Theology, specializing in New Testament studies. Nobushle Ndawonde. Specializing in Practical Theology, Vuyokazi Boyson. Matthews Sephora. Nelesiwe Zwane. Talent Moyo. The following candidates have complied with all the requirements for the Bachelor of Theology. Makete Kutso. Ntomfikile Sitole. Mr. Vice Principal, the following candidates have complied with all the requirements for the diploma in theology. Mamorake Hamese. Emily Musia. Sipho Sihle Nkosi.
Let us give our graduates who worked very hard a round of applause for their perseverance. I will now also ask our graduates to applaud their families, friends, spouses, sponsors, and everyone else that supported them to succeed. I see those who are not graduating are clapping, but it's okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we have now come to the end of the proceedings, and before we close, I wish to invite you to some liquid refreshments outside the hall in marquee tents. We now request you to stand and remain standing for the singing of the national anthem and the dissolution of the academic procession. By virtue of the authority entrusted to me, I now dissolve this assembly of the University of Pretoria.
Gameamus Today Matter.